Jesus is awesome, and he does awesome, powerful, miraculous things. Amen. I'm done preaching the gospel for today. Because I want to dig in to the Old Testament reading. We get this great story of Jacob. I was never a big fan of wrestling, like the wrestling we see on TV, WWF, or whatever it's called now, WWE, I don't know. I was never a big fan of it. Always, spoiler alert, it's fake. But it's not, right? Like those guys are doing some really acrobatic, athletic stuff, and they do get hurt, and people have died in the ring. Like it's real, and it's like, pre-planned, and it's entertainment. What I do enjoy about it when I have watched it at times in my life is the characters that these wrestlers exude. And there's always a heel, right? The heel is the bad guy. He's the villain. And sometimes people love those heels, those bad guys. Y'all know where that term heel comes from? Jacob. The word Jacob means heel. You might remember from the earlier part of his story, he's a twin. He has a twin brother named Esau. And when his mother is in labor, he sticks his heel out of the womb first. And they see his heel stick out, and then he goes back into the womb, and Esau, his twin brother, ends up being born first. Jacob is named the heel. Jacob then takes on the role of a trickster. He does kind of some dirty tricks on his brother. He steals his brother's birthright, in fact. Or he kind of rips him off. I've seen this in my own house just the other day. One of my sons tried to sell the other one a 10-cent water gun for $10. Esau is a hunter, and he comes home from the field, and he is famished. He is starving to death. He is about to die, and Jacob has a warm bowl of soup, lentil soup. And he says, I'll give you this bowl of soup to bring you from the brink of starvation if you will give me the birthright. And he does. And in fact, later, as his father Isaac is about to die, Esau, who was described as hairy and a man of the woods, Jacob, who was not, Jacob takes an animal pelt and goes into his blind father and pretends to be his brother to receive his father's blessing. In fact, he's running from Esau when we find Jacob today. He's been somewhat living in exile, but he's been growing. He has these 12 sons that are going to become the 12 tribes of Israel. And he's in a foreign land, and he is about to cross over into the land where his brother lives and that is going to supposedly belong to him. And he divides his family up because his brother has come to the other side of the river with 400 men. And he's going to the face-off. I mean, I can almost hear Michael Buffer, let's get ready to rumble, right? There's 400 men and his brother on one side of the river, and Jacob, in fact, divides up his family. He's got these two wives, which we just heard about a couple weeks ago, right? The daughters of Laban, right? And he divides them up, and he sends them across the river. And before he goes across, a man approaches. And Jacob and this man engage in an epic wrestling match that goes throughout the night. The heel versus the angel. I mean, this is epic, right? These are the stories we love to tell. These are the stories we love to watch. These are the stories that really mean so much more than just what we see with our eyes. And throughout that night, Jacob wrestles, and he's not quite sure who he is wrestling with. And we as the readers aren't quite sure either. Some would say, oh, well, it's Esau's come across. It's just going to be one-on-one. It's not going to be 400 against Jacob and his sons and their tribes. It's going to be one-on-one. Maybe it's Esau. Maybe it's an angel. Maybe it's God in human form. We're not quite sure. But we know that the heel wrestles with this divine being. That's what we find out at the end of it all. Is that at the end of this, Jacob realizes he has been wrestling with God. Here's a little wordplay for you that we don't get because we're English readers and English speakers. I've already told you that Jacob means heel. The word Yabok, which is close to the Jabbok, which is the river they've crossed, Yabok is a man. And the word Yabek is wrestled. So we can say Yabek, Yabak, Yaakov at the Jabbok. At the Jabbok, Yabek, Yaakov, Yabekt. The wordplay that some Jewish or Hebrew scholars have said is that it's like Jacob Jacobed him. Have you ever done that? Have you ever taken somebody's name and applied it to how they behave and said, oh, Rod's out there rodding all over the place again? You ever done that? That's kind of what's happening here. Oh, he's Jacobing. And at the end of this, Jacob's hip is dislocated. And he has this injury now. An injury that will heal, but he will feel forever. If anybody has those old injuries that have healed, you feel them. Yeah, the injury heals and you move on, but you still remember. Your body remembers. You hold those injuries and they remind you of what you've gone through. And so he has his hip dislocated. And he receives a new name. This man, this God in human form with whom he has been wrestling says, you are going to be called Israel because you have striven with God and you have prevailed. And Jacob says, well, on the topic of names, I'm going to rename this place too, Peniel, because here I have seen the face of God. There's a couple of things to think about there. He's seen the face of God. And you wrestled with it? And it injured you? And you'll feel that injury forever? That's the face of God. It's interesting. This is not a redemption story in this moment. This isn't like where he's gone through this big task or this rite of passage and he now leaves there different. He leaves with a different name and he goes across the river and has this big, hugging makeup with Esau. Esau receives him. They don't end up going to battle. And you might think, oh yeah, okay, this is his redemption story and Jacob changes. No, he cheats later on 2 more times. When he's blessing his own son, he crosses his fingers or crosses his arms. He tells his brother he's going one place and then he goes another. Jacob doesn't actually change. His name changes, but some things stay the same. Sometimes people ask why bad things happen to good people. And that's a fair question to ask. I have an easier time understanding that. Right? I mean, even in Jacob's story, he's the heel, right? He's the trickster, the villain a little bit. But he receives this injury in his struggle and in his striving, in his humanity. And that's just part of the human condition, friends. Life isn't easy and it isn't perfect and nobody coasts through and nobody gets out alive. I have an easier time understanding why suffering happens. It's part of our humanity. And often we grow from it and receive deeper insight. Sometimes we become deeply and keenly aware of our great love by the suffering that we undergo. That's what I tell people a lot of times in the midst of grief or even in anger. That grief or that anger is actually coming from a place of love. Because of your great love, You're angry over the loss of the relationship. Because of your great love, you carry this grief. Because of this great love, you're asking God, why? Because of this great love, you're wrestling and striving with God. So it's easier to conceptualize or understand why bad things happen to good people. But here's what I struggle with. What was his name? Israel. And you're named Israel because you have wrestled with God and what? And prevailed. That's the other part of the name. You have wrestled with God and you won. Here's what I struggle with. Why do good things happen to bad people? I can deal with bad things happening to good people, but good things happening to bad people, the heel wins. And not only does the heel win, because, we like to see those kind of redemption stories, right? Like the bad guy becomes the good guy at the end, right? Like in Rocky IV, when Ivan Drago is like, okay, Rocky, you're awesome. Yay, America, right? The bad guy becomes the good guy, and we can deal with that. But the heel remained a heel. And a whole nation is named after him. A whole religion, the Israelites. Those who have striven with God and prevailed. Started with this trickster. Maybe, as it turns out, it's not just Jacob who's wrestling. Maybe we all are. Maybe that's the point of it all. Is that we've got to struggle. Not just with our lives, but even with our faith. It's not so easy. It's not so cut and dry. It's not so perfect. Just like we can't coast through life, we can't coast through our lives of faith. It can't always be easy. It can't always be perfect. Because if it were, we'd wonder if it was actually real. And we might wonder if our great love had never been tested. How would we know if we deeply love? If we'd never had to face the injury, the wronging, if we'd never had to be given the opportunity to forgive or to ask forgiveness, if we've never been challenged to question our own suppositions, whether they be about God or those on earth around us. Brothers and sisters, we're called to wrestle. And in wrestling, we will prevail. Whether you're the heel or whether you're not the heel. It's in the wrestling. It's in that struggling. At the end of that wrestling match, there's not a referee there that, counts on the floor and the guy pops up. Oh, you got it in two. Right? There's nobody there proclaiming the winner. It happens between the two of them in their consent. And so, brothers and sisters, continue to wrestle. Continue to struggle. Because by doing so, you will be blessed. And that is good news. And if you find yourself hungry, Jesus will feed you. Amen. Okay, guys, this happens to me. I had a great ending planned for my sermon. Lost it. It's gone. And then I remembered it as we were reciting the creed. That's why I should write it down. It was written in my book. The problem is I can't read my own handwriting. So here it is. How do we deal with it like when bad things happen to good people? I turn to my ancestors, the Irish, who are really good with taking suffering and making light of it. So humor. Right, there's this great Irish toast that goes like this. May those who love us love us. And for those who don't love us, may God turn their hearts. And if God cannot turn their hearts, may He turn their ankles so we know them by their limping. Cheers. Okay. Do we have birthdays or anniversaries to celebrate today? We're going to do announcements after birthdays and anniversaries. Do we have birthdays or anniversaries to give thanks for? Out of this great gathering of people, not a one. Okay, well, first, our senior warden has some words he'd like to share.
Thank you. Good morning. So Rod talked about the birth of a new priest, and that cruise came from us and our tutelage, and he was brought to us by God. We've seen a lot of that. Scotty Ennis is the first one I can think of. Y'all can help me. Lucy, Little John, Peter, Thaddeus, Carrie, Gara, now Susan. This place of worship has brought people into service and into ministry. And I'm going to call you to do the same. I have the belief, some would disagree with me, that this church is really a two-priest church, that we really need to have two. And those are hard to come by, and we're not going to have that. And so Rod's going to go through a season of being a one-priest church.
Again.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, carry on.
And so what I'm calling us to do is to service and to worship. He calls us every Sunday. He says the most important work we have to do is to be here to worship. And there's a lot of pieces that are important to that. You don't have to be good at singing, but you could join the choir. There are greeters and there are ushers that can be both male and female that you could just sign up, and once a month, your job is to show up 15 minutes early, put on a little badge, and say hi to people as they come in. Bulletins need to be put together. If you can play an instrument, come play an instrument. And then outside of this place, there's lots of opportunity. We need people to help with pastoral ministry. We need people to serve on vestries. The life of this church is important. So what I would call you to is to be prayerful about where God would pull you into ministry. And what I would suggest is that all of us have a place in that ministry, whether it's itty-bitty and small and never seen, or great big like Rod. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Heath. True words. Acolytes. We can have acolytes of all ages. I mean, normally they're young people, but if you're young at heart, we always have acolytes and limbs, all sorts of ways. And we're going to be doing a ministry fair in September for 2 Sundays where I'll invite everybody to please go in the parish hall and see all the opportunities for in-reach and outreach that we have here at St. John's. And it can be somebody who's been here for 3 Sundays. I'm ready to throw you in and get you involved in the life of this church. So don't feel like, oh, I haven't been here long enough. I don't know anything or anybody. You want to know how to get to know people? You get in and start doing stuff. And this is a great community to be a part of. Okay, somebody hold up the blue cards in the pews, please. There are blue cards in your pews. If you didn't get an email in the last week about like bringing backpacks and different things going on at St. John's, that means we need to update our directory. Michelle has been holding a booth the last few Sundays and taking pictures and updating directory input. But I just want to name it. Sometimes people don't make their way over to the parish hall. You can fill those blue cards out, drop them in the offering plates as they come by, and we do not spam you. The other day, I clicked receive from a friend, and then the next thing I know, I was getting like emails every day. We don't do that at St. John's. Like you'll get maybe 2 emails a month, possibly 3, but not very many. We won't spam you. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on, and you'll know about things going on here. So I encourage you to fill out a blue card and get on our mailing list. To that point, we're giving out backpacks to our food pantry this Tuesday. So food pantry is Tuesday for those of you who volunteer with the food pantry. But we're also helping out with back to school. We're collecting backpacks. You have till tomorrow to bring them by the office. So we're just asking for a unisex backpack that a kid can take to school, and we'll be giving those out to our food pantry family. We typically have around 44 children within our food pantry network that we're supporting with throughout the year. You know, we'll be back asking for things at Christmas time and Thanksgiving and Easter, and throughout the year we're doing different things for these kids. But please, if you can, bring those backpacks by the office. tomorrow, and then we'll go purchase, if we're missing, if we're short, we'll go get them with discretionary funds. You'll see there's a save the date for Feathers and Camo. This will be our 4th year doing Feathers and Camo. It's a really fun gala adults event. This year we're doing something a little bit different with it. We're putting on a variety show. We've got some great talent from around the wider community coming in to do some acts and have some fun, and of course raise monies for our capital campaign as well as our outreach ministries. So all of the proceeds from this night are going to go either to our campaign, our campus development, our Guatemala missions, our food pantry, and our border ministries. So it's a great evening of fun to come out and support the great work that St. John's is doing and has been doing for a long time and will do for a long time to come. I think that's all I have in my announcements. Oh, Sunday, August 23rd, we're going back to 2 services, 9 and 11. On that Sunday, we're doing backpack blessings at the 11 o'clock service. It is possible that we will still be worshiping in the parish hall. What, you say? We're not in the parish hall. Starting next Sunday, we will be holding worship services in the parish hall. We're doing some work inside of the church. The floor underneath you is going to change. Not all the carpet just yet. We're getting new pew cushions. We're putting in new flooring over this old tile. We're repainting the ceiling and adjusting the acoustic ceiling. And then in the future to come, we're going to add an embellishment in the chancel area, a slat wood embellishment around the walls of the chancel. And so we're beautifying the church. We are investing in our worship space, and I'm confident, and the vestry's confident that you're all going to love the different things that we're doing. So
the walls will not be painted green.
The walls won't be painted green. Nobody panic. If you have suggestions or comments or critiques, Heath Smith is your senior warden. I'll post his cell phone number on the website. So next Sunday for 10 a.m., we'll be in the parish hall for the next couple of Sundays. We go back to 2 services on the 23rd. They may be done with the work in here. They might not be. We'll see. Walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to the Lord.